Jacksonville didn't even run the football that well today. They didn't have Maurice Jones-Drew. So you really don't have an excuse, Houston. I mean, yes, you may not be super familiar with Chad Henne's tendencies, but you got to prepare for that week in and week out. Regardless, you never know what can happen in a football game. That's why I call it any given Sunday. Okay? You cannot go in there and just think, okay, Blaine Gabbert's going to, play this whole thing out. You never know what can happen. And the unexpected occurred today, and Chad Henne showcased his talent, did a superb job, and sadly for Houston, they couldn't stop him. And luckily for Houston, late in that overtime, they hung in, and they barely stopped Jacksonville. I mean, Matt Schaub threw 2 interceptions today. That was very close. Very close. I mean, I thought Houston was going to absolutely lose that football game. And I was wrong. So, look, Houston survives, but shouldn't be proud of it. You got Thanksgiving Day against Detroit. So if you play the way you did against Jacksonville, there's no way you're going to win that football game either. I mean, I know Detroit's struggling, but excuse me, they're better than Jacksonville, certainly. I mean, those issues really need to be fixed. It's as simple as that. And if you don't know what the tendencies are of quarterbacks, you're not going to win many football games. And I know this was just an odd week for Houston. I think they'll survive. I think they're perfectly fine, to be quite honest. It's just a little bit surprising that I saw them, struggle with the poor team in the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, let's move on to the other game. Chris Myers of, oh yes, Fox NFL. He was announcing the game with Tim Ryan, as he usually does on Sundays. And he didn't know who won the football game in overtime. He was a little bit confused as Josh Freeman lofted a beautiful, beautiful throw to Dallas Clark, came down with it, touchdown. And basically what Chris Myers says is, Panthers win. Buccaneers win. He said both. He got a little confused. I just wanted to bring that up because a lot of people were talking about it all over the Twitter sphere. And so, hey, Chris Myers, I like the guy a lot, but boy, come on, man. He had the same mistake against. He had a few mistakes against San Francisco, the San Francisco St. Louis tied game. I don't know. He's speaking a little, not gibberish, but he's just mixing his words a little bit. Just something to mention, a little tidbit here and there. But the most important thing that you can take out of all of this is that the Buccaneers won the football game, and that's really what most people care about. And look, the Buccaneers, they're one of the most highest scoring teams in the NFL. Okay, they average a ton of points per game. And against Carolina, it seemed so odd, and they really couldn't. In the second quarter, they didn't get anything to go. First quarter, okay, 10-0 in the beginning. Then the Panthers score. Okay, that's nice. But it seems like in the fourth quarter, when they really had to get that play, they got it. Josh Freeman, superb job today. The guy, I think he's one of those quarterbacks that you're going to be seeing in the future. He's the future of the NFL. I mean, this guy is a true great quarterback. I think this guy has a ton of potential. And look, with the Bucs, they're still 6-4. I have to give them credit for that. They're really battling, putting themselves in a nice position. They could really make a run for it if they continue to rack up a ton on offense. And Doug Martin, they can keep riding it with Doug Martin. Panthers, though, really disappointed. They had opportunities, and they couldn't capitalize. Okay? Let's look at the opportunities that they had. Josh Freeman threw 2 interceptions, everybody. Okay? You have 2 opportunities. Okay? Right there. Then, with the penalties, you commit 11 penalties today for 91 yards. I mean, I don't understand how teams commit penalties, to be quite honest. I mean, there's no real talent to it. It's just discipline. If you commit a turnover, you don't have... I mean, if you don't commit penalties, it's not because you're super talented. It's because you're super disciplined. You're putting yourself in a position to hang on. Just to keep hanging on. And the Panthers, they found ways to lose. Let's be quite honest. You get 3 turnovers given to you, and you don't win the football game. You win the turnover battle, you can't win the football game. It's because of the penalties. And I'm looking at the amount of first downs. Here, I'm going to look at the first downs as well here. Look, 18 first downs. And that's not really taking advantage of the clock, because when you keep getting first down after first down after first down, you're going to tire defense. Long drives are successful. I'm not a big fan of short drives. 2-play drives. I love the 11-play, the 15-play drives. Those change games. Panthers didn't really have those type of drives today. Didn't really see it. And Tampa Bay really doing a great job methodically moving it downfield. Got to give them credit for that. Okay? So, great job, Buccaneers. Continue what you're doing, but this has just been a downhill battle for the Cam Newton-led Carolina Panthers. So, look, those are the mistakes that Carolina needs to fix. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. In fact, a 30-second one. I'll be back in a moment to explain what occurred today between, yes, the Atlanta Falcons and the Arizona Cardinals, and yes, I'll talk about that guy. Tebow, he did have a play. He did complete a pass, kind of. Or did he? Or was he in the offense? Or what's been going on with him? I'll explain that. Just wait 30 seconds, please. Alright, so back here on the Cameron Sadeghi Show. And the crazy game. It was another crazy game. Excuse me. Matt Ryan and the Arizona Cardinals. Last undefeated team. Well, not anymore after the other, the game against New Orleans. But Matt Ryan, people saying this is the best player in the league. MVP. Well, MVP, quote unquote. Excuse me. 5 interceptions for Matt Ryan. 5! He threw 3 interceptions in the first quarter of that football game. And they still hang on to win. Unbelievable. They still hang on to win. I don't know if this is a good thing from Atlanta that they just continue to win and win and win. But they're not really putting any complete games. Okay? Arizona did a terrible job today. You get 6 turnovers handed to you, and you can't win the football game, and you put up 19 points on the scoreboard? That's not a good NFL offense. Yeah, I know. You got, John Skelton was hurt, and you had Lindy playing, but where's the running game? I know LaRod Stevens-Howling did superb today and everything, but Lindley didn't really did a good job as a backup. I mean, Atlanta really played sluggish today. They did the same thing to Oakland. They played the same way against New Orleans. Well, the New Orleans one they lost. But I'm going to be quite honest with you. How did the Falcons manage to win football games? I don't know. I think it's the collapse of other teams, or is it the greatness of the Atlanta Falcons? I'm going with the collapse of other teams. Because you're at home against Oakland, and Carson Palmer's looking like Joe Montana. That's troublesome. Then you face the Cardinals, and Matt Ryan is giving it up like hot potato. That's a problem. You face New Orleans, and you're letting the New Orleans Saints absolutely rip you apart with an interim head coach and coming off of a bounty system. That's a problem. But you're still 9-1, and I get it. Your record indicates who you are. I understand that. The Falcons will be a playoff team. The Falcons will do well, but I don't think the Falcons are going to the Super Bowl. I still don't think the Falcons are the best team in the NFC. You've heard me say this tons and tons and tons of times. I just don't think they're the most complete football team in the NFC. Look at Chicago. Look at the two teams playing on Monday Night Football. Tell me, whoever wins that football game, tell me if you think those two teams, Chicago or San Francisco, is worse than Atlanta, you're either biased or you hate the Falcons and you hate the Niners and the Bears. Because there's no way, if you look at it from a logical and unbiased and objective perspective, that you can come out there and say that the Chicago Bears and the San Francisco 49ers are behind the Atlanta Falcons as two incomplete teams. I totally disagree with you. Atlanta doesn't even have as close of a good defense as Chicago does. Let's just be quite frank. San Francisco too. San Francisco, I can go out there and say they have slightly more weapons than Atlanta does. So, I don't understand how Falcons fans can seemingly believe that they're going to win a Super Bowl when you're playing like this. Okay, you won, but let's be quite honest. You have more talent than Arizona. You should just win solely on talent alone. You are not better than the Chicago Bears, and you are not better than the San Francisco 49ers. You're not better than the Houston Texans either. So people saying that the Falcons are the best team, you're wrong. Well, it's not a complete fact, it's an opinion, but I think you're wrong. I know Michael Turner's great. I know I like Julio Jones. I like Matt Ryan, even though he had a terrible day today. I like Roddy White. I like Mike Smith. People think, oh, you don't like these people. No, I do. But I just don't think they're better than some other teams. So with that being said, there needs to be some corrections here. If they can't put up complete games against teams over 500, they're going to immediately get bounced out of the playoffs. Atlanta, they've got, I mean, look, when it's against sub 500, you're going to struggle. I mean, you're going to give up mistakes. Okay, you're going to still win that. I get that. But boy, you play the way that you did against Arizona to San Francisco, they'll gobble you up. Okay? If Matt Ryan threw 5 interceptions to the San Francisco 49ers, who do you think wins a football game? It's a no-brainer. San Francisco wins. Here, same thing. They have no margin for error. I mean, in the playoffs. Okay? They've got to put up complete football games. Every possession matters to the Falcons in the playoffs. No, that's a cliche, and I get that. But if you're going to play like this, and you're going to just play one great half of football or one quarter